In the movies, there's genuine violence, and there's acted violence and choreographed violence, and obviously sometimes really, truly, pathetically fakey-looking violence. But a lot of effort goes into getting it right and rehearsing it, but people still get hurt.
Well, you try to keep it to a minimum. You know, you rehearse and you rehearse, trying to get the fight scenes down without anyone getting hurt. Because, see, my real concern is with stuntmen. You know, stuntmen's livelihood is dependent on being able to work from movie to movie. And so I take extra precautions not to hurt any of my stuntmen, because, you know, their livelihood is, they don't have any compensation. They get hurt, they go on unemployment. So, you know, so I really take extra precautions not to hurt them.
What usually goes wrong when a stuntman is hurt? Is there any general thing, like some human error, forgetting to check a safety belt? Or
it's hard to say. I mean, it could be anything. I mean, you know, when they do a stunt that doesn't involve a fight, you know, a car stunt or whatever, then it's up to them to make preparations to avoid being hurt. But a fight scene where, like, I'm fighting a stuntman, then he's relying on me to be able to know the distance of my kick. And of course, I've been doing it for so many years, I can throw a kick within a fraction of an inch without making contact.
I believe you were too old for Vietnam, but your brother you lost a brother in Vietnam.
Right.
Do you know the circumstances of how he died and all? Or was
he was on a patrol.
Yeah.
And he was point man on the patrol. And he saw an ambush being set up by the Viet Cong. And he saw them getting ready to fire on his patrol. And he yelled back to warn them to duck. And when he did, well, then they focused their artillery on him.
Had he not done that, he might well have survived, but or they'd all have been wiped out.
Yeah, he won. You know, he got out.
Oh Lord! And you know, you got that firsthand from, of course, from one of his.
From one of the men in the patrol. A couple of them came to the funeral, and so they told us what happened.
How do they decide who gets to be point man? Who has to be point man?
Well, generally the sergeant will decide, or someone will volunteer. In this particular case, he volunteered for point man.
God, I haven't lost anybody close to me in a war, although somewhat distant people have. But would it make it any easier in this case had we not lost that bloody war, or does that make any difference when you?
You know, in the early part of the Vietnam War, you know, I was behind it. I'm one of these ultra patriotic type guys. But, you know, reflecting back, and not even with losing Willie, but just the, you know, going back and realizing what kind of a war it was. It was a war of monetary gains rather than a war of principle, even though they say that is the reason. Too many people became very rich from the Vietnam War, and I think it was a mistake we made. I think it was a war that could not be won, and we just have to avoid those in the future, wars that don't serve a strong enough purpose. They're just saying, well, we were there to avoid communism. But, you know, these people here, all they're concerned about is eating from day to day, not whether it's a democratic or communistic society, but where am I going to get my next meal? That's what these people are concerned with. And so we have to be careful about that in the future.
I have a dream. We rent Madison Square Garden. And say yes now, and then I'll tell you what it is.
Yes.
Okay. Now I got to get the other guy to say yes. We get Keith not Keith Carradine. David. And who's going to win? It's going to be a fair, free fight. Anything you want.
Well, you know, David.
We'll sell out.
Well, David is a friend of mine. You know, I did a movie with David called Lone Wolf McQuade.
Yeah.
And you know, and he did the Kung Fu series and all that. And David's a great guy. So I don't think renting out Madison Square Garden would have much of a draw between David and I. If you pulled out some of the other martial artists, Steven Seagal or Jean-Claude Van Damme, the current guys today that are martial arts.
David's slowed a little, has he, and his accuracy might be a tad off.
David knows the martial arts, but you know, his profession was in the martial arts.
He was an actor.
David's an actor who has done some martial arts throughout his life, but he's not what you consider a professional martial artist.
How good is Seagal?
Truthfully, I don't know. I don't know Steven. I've only met him once. Jean-Claude's pretty good.
You can't tell just from seeing his movie, martial art.
See, most of Seagal's movies, his action is done close up. You really can't see. Everything is real quick cuts, so you don't get a chance to really see exactly what he's doing. Where with Van Damme, you know, trained with me for 1.5 years when he came over from Brussels, so I know him quite well. And he's a good martial artist.
I wonder who a champion martial artist would be. A big guy with a kind of Middle European accent. I ran into a bookstore once, and I went over to say hello to him, and he said, "Get the hell away from me, I'm going to kill you."
He said that to you?
Yeah.
A martial artist?
Uh-huh. And a young student was with him who was very embarrassed and said, "Gee, I'm sorry." I said, "Your friend's a real charmer."
Actor or what?
Not an actor, a real, but a martial artist world champion, tall with a sort of somewhat Russian-ish accent.
I don't know. Are you sure he's a world champion? I don't think he is.
I don't know.
Because I know all the world champions. I know every one of them.
I'll find out and let you know.
I know every one of them, and I don't know of one that would have that attitude. I mean, I know them all because I'm in the kickboxing world.
Maybe he's a former world champion.
No, not even a former. He may be a wannabe.
I'm sorry I brought this up. I'll figure it out.
He's a wannabe. Because the wannabes are the ones with the attitude.
Or maybe wannabe again or something. Who knows?
But he's a wannabe that will never be.
Yeah.
See, because guys with that attitude just don't make it. Have
you had much Aikido study?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I've studied Aikido for several years.
Kendo, do you do a lot of them to a degree? I mean, do you try to do a little of each one? Huh?
Was it Steven Seagal that told you that?
What?
Steven Seagal, did he tell you to get away from him?
No. It wasn't Seagal. Wait a minute. You know, he looks like he might. I have never met him, but he looks like he could be annoyed on some days. He's had slight potential.
Just some days a week.
Has he ever crunched your instep or anything? Or?
No. They wouldn't dare.
That menacing, really rotten kind of guy image that he projects is
carries over.
Largely acting, is it, or not? No. I see what you're trying to say.
It carries over in his whole life.
Really?
Yeah, unfortunately.
Yeah. Oh, that's too bad.
For a martial artist,
I suspected that.
Yeah, for a martial artist, it kind of surprises me too.
He was crappy to a guy I know once, and I just wondered. I didn't want to say it.
He carries a gun with him everywhere he goes.
He carries what?
He has a gun on him.
No kidding.
Everywhere he goes.
Where does he carry it?
Huh? On his hip, on his leg.
No kidding.
Yeah.
Jeez. Yeah. I had no idea. Well, what's the last time you ever really got into violence with somebody in real life? Probably been a long time.
No, I've
People
never.
aren't dumb enough to come up and
I've
say,
never
"Hey,
really,
my girlfriend here.
That doesn't happen to me.
Probably not.
No, I've never had anyone actually. I don't walk around bodyguards and all that stuff.
Gee, I hope we can do another show. This has been far too short.
Yeah, went fast.
Damn, it certainly did, and we didn't have a chance to challenge each other or anything.
Next time.
I've read that you can read character through people's eyes. Do you see anything alarming in mine?
None.
Okay.
Sorry, Dick.
Chuck, thank you for being here. Sorry to hear how undesirable a guy Seagal is, because I'm going to take his picture down from beside my bed. We'll see you next time. So long.